My name is RuPaul, and I survived junior year.
We did it. We did it!
It was not fun. However, there's a new threat now. College apps. But I'm not going to complain about that. I'm going to talk about a subject that I've been asked about. And this is the question. Is junior year hard? The short answer is it could be. It could be difficult. It could be straightforward. There are so many factors that can determine your junior year. And I'm going to go over some of it and give some tips along the way because a lot of people worry about it. So without further ado, please subscribe, like, and yeah, let's go ahead. So firstly, people say junior year is stressful. Is that a myth or is that true? That's very true. But why? Firstly, colleges look at your junior year transcripts the most intently because that's the most recent year you're going to be submitting. So that's already pretty big pressure. And secondly, junior year is usually when you take your hardest classes. So your course load is just going to keep coming and coming. Combining those two seem hard enough. And that's kind of what causes people to be stressed in the first place. Now, how do you react to that? Well, here's option one. A lot of people will be hyperactive about school and they'll just overthink everything. That just means you meticulously try to put all your energy into every assignment to get the best grade possible. I know a bunch of people who adapted that mentality and it works for a few months. It's not very successful. In my experience, there's just too much work to be done that you just can't put your 100% in, especially with like busy work that takes unnecessarily long times to do. Put your 100% into assignments that matter more, like tests and projects. I'm not saying to not try on your homework, just try less on the less important stuff and you'll be able to get to everything. Another big thing people face is burnout. People face it a lot during junior year, myself included. Quick anecdote, but my school operates on like this A-day, B-day schedule. You have 4 classes on A-day, 4 classes on B-day. So you finish all your courses by May, by May. First semester was pretty manageable for me, but second semester is where it hit. Especially first half of second semester, which is third quarter. I don't know why I didn't say third quarter. Anyways, third quarter was hard. Since your exam, like AP exam is in May, a lot of teachers try to rush and finish your content like in February and March. And I'd say I didn't have a lot of fun. It was not great. But it was mainly because I took 7 APs. I don't know if I would recommend that. But yeah, the main thing is I took 7 APs and I didn't get a lot of sleep. I got about 6. Maybe 7 hours of sleep. But for real though, coursework will get harder as the year goes on. You don't have to be like me and take a lot of APs or my Asian friends who took 8 APs. My next piece of advice kind of applies to everyone, but I would recommend that you stay in a routine as much as possible. For example, getting home at 4, scrolling for an hour, doing math for a bit, then going on a walk, doing a bit more homework, taking a nap, eating food, finishing homework, and then sleep. And then repeat that 5 days a week. Obviously, you can make it more stricter, you can make it more liberated, however you want to. So like if you have to practice violin or something, you can just add that in. Just do whatever works for you as long as you do it consistently. The more organized you are, the less likely you are to burn out. Another thing I see pretty often is that people shutting themselves off from having fun. You should not do this. I would agree that you need to be pretty locked in to do well in junior year, but that shouldn't discourage you from hanging out with friends. I had a ton of fun my junior year. Like we even made waffles in my lane class. It's really important that you just have these times to de-stress once in a while. And it doesn't have to be like every week. It can be monthly or every 2 months, every 3 months. Now, I kind of mentioned this earlier, but sleep deprivation is almost a guarantee. If you haven't felt it already, you will feel it this year. There are 2 medically good options you can do, and that is to either sleep earlier or take naps and sleep later. High chance you don't do either. That's the normal answer. I would sleep at 2 a.m. a lot of days, but honestly, 4 hours of sleep isn't too bad. Less than that is probably a bigger issue. Also, quick tangent, but you generally don't need all-nighters to do well. Maybe if you go to med school, but I personally don't think all-nighters are beneficial, and there are dozens of papers on Google Scholar that could back that up. So to recap, try to take naps, try to sleep early, but if you can't, try to get 4 hours of sleep and then more sleep the next day. Now, a huge thing you gotta keep track of is how much you study for a class, and also the times you study. A good amount of times you might be able to BS it and get a good grade, but it will eventually catch up to you. Don't try to BS a push though. I tried it and I got a 64 on the test. Also, don't cheat. Drew Paul doesn't condone cheating. I would only recommend BSing stuff if it's like 11 p.m. or later and you're looking at the study guide like this. What I usually did was study a few days before the test, about 15 to 30 minutes each day, and then 0 minutes to an hour the day before the test. It just depends on what subject. If it was physics, I'm using that hour. If it's stat, I'm using that hour to sleep. So if it's a hard class, try study consistently a few days before. Anything else? Oh, extracurriculars. From what I've heard, grades matter the most on college apps. So if you have to compromise on extracurriculars to get a good grade, you might want to do that. Now, I don't mean to give up entirely on that activity. Just maybe try to save more time for your academics so you don't fall behind. You should always do what you're passionate about, and maintaining a good balance is critical to being mentally stable throughout the year. The thing I really regret is giving up soccer to focus on school. Like, I was genuinely busy from school, but I really missed playing soccer. If you're in that same position and contemplating giving something up like that, I suggest not to, and just try to think about how you can manage your time first before you make that big decision. But yeah, don't worry. If you made it to the end of the video, you got this. With my advice, you can do anything. See ya.